Well, one of my favorite ones that we did way back in the day was a zombie movie from the zombies' point of view. And there was this big stunt scene where a car is weaving down the street and there's like zombies all over the car. And that's just my friends like hanging on top of the roof of a car.
And one of your friends, another
one of my friends is just like weaving down the street and everything. I look back on that and I'm like, how did no one die? Like, how did we not kill someone?
Today we have the story of how a fellow Wyomingite became a major Hollywood editor to taking over the Wyoming Film Festival. This is the Voices on the Wind podcast. My name is Maverick.
And I'm Toby Lyles, and here is Rudi Womack.
They were shooting Starship Troopers up near Hell's Half Acre. And I begged my mom. I was like, I want to go see. I like just annoyed her to death. And all these guys dressed up as soldiers and everything, walking around in like their armor and guns and everything. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I begged my parents. I was like, I want to see it. Hard no, absolutely not. That film is very R. That is a very R-rated film. Another year after that, having a sleepover with one of my friends, his parents rented it from Blockbuster. And again, they were like, no, you're not allowed to watch it.
You're 9 years old, right?
Yeah. You're way too young. No way. It's too scary. It's too bloody. So in the middle of the night, I snuck down into their basement. I plugged in the VHS into the VCR.
Oh my goodness.
I turned down the sound to like 2 bars. You know how it is, like on those old TVs sat like 6 inches away from the screen pretty much. And I watched Starship Troopers.
Wow.
It scared the shit out of me as a little kid, but loved it. And from that day forward, I was like, I weirdly followed the process of this film. And from that day forward, I was like, I have to be a filmmaker. I have to be a filmmaker. Well, my family moved from Casper to Cheyenne. I grew up in Cheyenne. Had a lot of friends who were also creative-minded, and we started making backyard movies together, and that just took off.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I made some really silly movies.
Oh yeah,
and
they're the best.
Like? They're the best. Well, others would say otherwise. What do you remember one of those early films that you made?
One of my favorite ones that we did way back in the day was a zombie movie from the zombies' point of view. And there was this big stunt scene where a car is weaving down the street and there's like zombies all over the car. And that's just my friends like hanging on top of the roof of a car.
And one of your friends, another
one of my friends is just like weaving down the street and everything. I look back on that and I'm like, how did no one die? Like, how did we not kill someone?
What do you think it is about you? I mean, I understand loving it as a kid. Mm-hmm. It seems natural, but you're a smart guy. You probably could have been in science. You could have been in, some other subject than film. What do you think is uniquely about you that just loves film so much?
I think storytelling is intrinsically just baked into us, humans. It's in our nature. It's in every single culture. It's in every single language. It's permeated all time. Lord only knows when the first storyteller was, but we all know, it was a woman whistling while she worked, or the old man by the campfire telling a story to the village, thousands of years before written language was even a thing, right? So I believe it is in our core as a species that we have to tell stories. Now, for some people, that manifests in different ways. And for someone like me, it manifests in cinema, because I think cinema is the ultimate art form. It encapsulates every other art form.
Okay, so you went from making movies in your backyard, almost killing your friends with zombies, and when did you decide to go to California? How did that feel?
Well, like all 18-year-olds in Wyoming, I wanted to get the hell out of Wyoming, right? Which is so funny to say, because now that I'm older and everything. I'm all about coming back to Wyoming and all about building up Wyoming. So it's kind of funny how we ebb and flow through life. But at the time, I wanted to get out of Wyoming. I wanted to go make movies, and I didn't care how it was going to happen. It was just going to happen. So packed up, went to film school, moved to Los Angeles, and quickly discovered you can throw a rock and hit like 15 people that want to be directors, and 14 of them are more talented than me. So, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I still direct to this day. I love directing. Anytime that they let me jump into the director's chair, I'm going to. It's great. But I discovered that I'm a very good editor. And then I also discovered that not only am I good at it, I love it. And then to take it one step further, most people do not love it. Most directors and producers hate editing. So very quickly, I pivoted from being a director to being an editor.
Do you want to talk about that? How did you figure that out?
Yeah. So when I was in film school, you always had to work on other people's projects. And I'm just so busy like producing and directing my own projects. It was killing me that I would have to set all of that down and I'd have to go work on my classmates' projects. And I'm just like a grip or gaffer, or I'm holding the boom pole or whatever. And I'm doing that for like 12 hours a day. And don't get me wrong, please don't get me wrong. I love being on movie sets. I will do anything I can to be on a movie set, but it is exhausting. And it felt like it kept interrupting what I was doing. So I asked my teachers, I was like, hey, in editing, a lot of these guys could use some help. I don't know what it is. It's just the way my brain is wired, but I can very easily see better ways to assemble or edit or find those emotional beats or what have you. And so I kind of made a deal with my teachers. I was like, it still counts as working on their projects if it's in post-production. So can I just do that? So I started editing a lot of my classmates' films. And you know, you do something, you get good at it, right? You practice it. And I started doing a lot of that. I realized I love this. I realized most of my classmates did not love it. You know, editing was tedium for them and just took so long and it was hard. But I don't know, something just clicked with me. So coming out of college, I had a decent reel and everything for my director's reel, but I had a killer editing reel. Like really? I had a really good editing reel coming out of college. So, you know, you need to pay back student loans, you need a job and everything. So that's what I did. I found a job as an editor. From that, I was able to pivot more into what my real passion is, and that's feature-length films and documentaries. And weirdly enough, like most people try to get into the studios. I got into the studios very early on. I wanted to get out of the studios and go to indie film, because indie film may not have the prestige, it may not have the budget, but it has the creativity. It has the ingenuity. It has the risk taking. It has the original stories. It's where you will find the most love and passion in purest form of the art. And
what was it about those indie films that you, I mean, yes, the creativity, but
all the people who work in the studios. So all of these professional filmmakers, they work in the studios, they make their money, but there's a formula to studio stuff. And they're just so browbeaten with the formula, which is how I was feeling. You know, it was great working on Marvel films. I worked on some of the biggest films in the world, but man, there's just a recipe to it, and you just follow the recipe, and it's the formula, and you're not really allowed to go outside of the box or anything. So when you get into indie film, it's kind of throw the paint at the wall, see what works, see what doesn't, and then you start working with what you have. And there's a lot more creativity. And now a lot of these kind of big time filmmakers are starting to gravitate more towards independent film because, again, it doesn't come with the paycheck, but it at least allows them to exercise their creative muscles in a meaningful way. And I get really inspired by that. And it's one of the coolest things in the world to see just really creative people just cook. Just let them cook. It's incredible with some of the stuff that they come up with. So
this is a really good story. And And I want to pause for actually another really good story. I've got Tate Schrock with Edge Flight. You know, when we talked, Tate, right at the beginning, you told me the story and all of our listeners and how you found a weather balloon satellite, you know, on your farm, on your family's farm, and you're building that, and you're helping other people essentially find the same, because you kind of like reverse engineered it, and now you built a business off of that. So can you tell us about these satellites?
Sure. I've started my journey as a self-taught learner. One, it goes back all the way to when a weather balloon landed in my front yard. I took it apart, started building things that also go to the edge of space, whether it's CubeSats, whether it's weather balloon kits, and wanted to make sure that other learners, other explorers, and other people, even hobbyists and professionals alike, can all take that same technology and explore their own missions, get to the edge of space on their own balloons, and explore the unknown. Whether it's even at the edge of space or even just in a classroom environment, we build the technology that empowers those individuals to do that. Whether it's schools, hobbyists, professionals, all alike, we build that entire ecosystem.
I just love that it started with you kind of tinkering. And what I like too is that you're sending people a box, you're sending kids a box so they can get a bunch of electronic parts, kind of like you got on the farm. And they get this opportunity to put together something that can fly.
Yep. It's the opportunity of a lifetime, all inside of a kit that we make available to anyone, whether you want to tailor it for a specific mission, whether you have a learner that's specifically focused in learning more science, or maybe it's one that's focused on atmospherics, maybe it's meteorology. We cover the entire broad scope in our educational kits.
That's cool. If they're going to find that, where should they go?
Check out edgeflight.com/VOTW.
But you went from a really solid gig. Some would say that's like the gig, right?
There are a lot of people who make a great career out of it. So yeah,
sure.
Yeah. A big reason for that is just the way I was raised. You know, my parents didn't come from money. They worked very, very hard their entire life. When they got into a position where they were comfortable, both of them turned around and started giving back to the community. So I believe very strongly in that.
A piece of my story is I also moved out of Wyoming to California.
Yeah.
And I did live events out there. I did a ton of theater.
Oh man, so you know what it's all about.
Oh, and I wanted to say no, but I couldn't. Mm-hmm. But somehow you transitioned from that fairly intense environment, I'm assuming, to just helping out with indie films. It feels like a really big risk.
Oh yeah.
What was that like for you?
I mean, it is a huge risk. The money isn't as good. Weirdly enough, the grind is a lot more because it's not nearly as stable. You're essentially going from a steady job to doing gig work. But like all gig workers, you kind of set the rules for yourself. You know, you get to decide what projects that you're going to be on. You don't necessarily get to decide the hours, but because you decide the projects, you are in a roundabout way at least saying like, okay, you know, for these 3 weeks, you know, I'll work the 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And for the week after that, I'm just going to sleep, you know, whereas working in studios, you don't necessarily get that kind of flexibility. But, you know, I don't want to sit here and dunk on studios, but I do find more inspiration and more creativity on the indie side of things, which has always been a driver for me, is being a storyteller and a person that likes to come up with creative solutions to problems. And as an editor, I compare it to just dumping a bunch of Legos on the floor and just saying, build it, you know? So when you're working in the studios, those Legos kind of already belong in a set and there's a vision for how they go. But in the indie world, oftentimes you're allowed to play around and exercise some creativity. So that's one of the reasons that attracts me so much to independent film and what moved me towards independent film.
How did you get started doing film festivals?
Yeah. So I started film festivals as a programmer. So when films get submitted to a film festival, there's a programming team, and what they do is they watch the film and they give it a rating. That's it. It's the easiest thing in the world. It's always a volunteer position. It's never a paid, unless it's like Sundance. But anyway, but I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just going to watch a bunch of movies and give them a rating. Great, cool.
Yeah.
And it's a blast.
It's a connection. It's an industry connection for you. Yeah.
And, I'm a filmmaker. I've been to a lot of film festivals. I've seen it from that point of view. Now I'm programming for film festivals. It's great. It's wonderful. Everything's going great. And then COVID happens, and COVID throws a wrench into everything, and including here in Cheyenne. So in 2010 or 11, a gentleman named Alan Oashie, a documentarian from here in Cheyenne, he started the Wyoming International Film Festival. And at this point, I've already moved to LA. So I'm like, yeah, of course, finally, there's a film festival in my hometown after I've moved. Of course, that would be my luck. So anyway, he's running the film festival here. He's doing his own thing. COVID happens and Alan retires at the same time. So he's like, I'm retired. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Also, COVID, everything's hard, blah, 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 blah. Alan's like, I'm done. And I get on the horn with him and I'm like, Alan, you can't. It's so important to the community. Like I would have killed to have this growing up. When I was making my backyard movies and hanging out with my friends, I would have loved to have a place where I could screen them, where I could connect with other filmmakers. I was like, you cannot give this up. It's too important. So very long story short, Alan was like, why don't you run it? I'm like, Alan, I can't. I live in Los Angeles, I love Wyoming. My heart's there. I believe very strongly, but I can't run it. I live on the other side of the country, man. You got to find someone else. So Alan pretty much convinced me to come in, and I was going to start as the director of programming because I had programming experience, but that very, very quickly turned into here's the keys of the castle and bye.
As with any good nonprofit.
Yeah. So suddenly I'm holding this film festival and I'm like, okay, well, I guess this is the next thing I got to figure out how to do. And I found that I loved it. I fell in love with it right away. So we came in, I hired all my friends from school.
Perfect. Yeah.
I brought in all my friends and everything.
The same ones that survived the car?
Exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly. The same ones. The exact same ones. I'm like, hey guys, we made movies in Cheyenne back in the day. We're now making a film festival in Cheyenne. Let's go. And I already knew film festivals are an incredible vehicle for filmmakers to network, to find jobs, to connect with their audience, to get press, to meet sales people, distributors, financiers to help with their next project. So film festivals are so critical for independent filmmakers as a stepping stone to their success. And it immediately clicked for me how important that is going to be for the community, not just here in Cheyenne, but Wyoming broadly, and also the independent film world broadly, because we are an international film festival. We screen films from all over the world, all over the United States. So we do give a lot of those opportunities. And I know movies and I know how to put this together. This is everything. This is the culmination of everything that I have been building for. It felt like destiny. It really did. And so here we are. And so the film festival is 12 years old. I've been running it. This is going to be my 5th year as the new ED. Our team is incredible. We've built up the film festival. Just this year, we were rated in the top 1% in the world.
Wow.
I know.
That's incredible.
Like just little old Cheyenne is in the upper echelon in the entire world of film festivals. So that was a massive honor. And so here we are. We're bringing Emmy Award winners and Oscar nominees and working professionals like myself, writers, directors, producers, editors, cinematographers, all walks of life, actors. We're bringing them all into Cheyenne. Not only is it a really cool cultural event for the community, you're going to see all these cool indie films that you probably wouldn't have seen before. Films, again, from all over the world that likely are never going to come through the theater here in Cheyenne, so it's your only opportunity to see them. But on top of that, we have now built up an infrastructure for Wyoming filmmakers to build up those connections with, LA people or New York people, that they don't necessarily have to leave home in order to start building up that network so they can start getting jobs. And it's already happened. I can't tell you how many Wyoming filmmakers have landed gigs, paying gigs through the film festival.
That's incredible. I feel like we didn't catch all of your story. In fact, we barely touched on the film festival. I'm wondering if maybe next year we'll do another one.
I would love
and
to.
We'll start from what it was like when you took over. Something in between the beginning and the top 1% of all film.
Sheer panic is what the...
Well, we'll talk about the sheer panic.
Honestly, this feels redundant, but honestly, it's one of my favorite episodes so far. Really, I don't know. And then there's something fun about there's doing your job, and then there's being creative in like doing what you want to do, you know. And I feel like you can really see that line very clearly. And when he chose, you know, doing indie films is, well, I think that's really a lot of fun and one that gives back to the community, and it also, well, just I think for the world to have more. He's helping inspire people to make their own films and to bring their creativity into the world, and then by using his own. And I think as business leaders, I think that's something we can do, is like do stuff that our passion, but also passing the torch to others and make it easier for them. Like he touched on that a lot, and I think that's really important and cool.
Yeah, it was just a blast to talk to Rudi, and I appreciated his help. Also, I think it's hilarious that for those listening, it probably sounds a little different, but for those watching, you can tell we're in the backyard, and it's because the audio, I erased it, so which is only appropriate. And poor Rudi was just kind enough to deal with a lot of technical issues on this one, so really appreciated that. And maybe that's the point, is that even if tech stuff goes wrong, it's still worth pursuing and going forward. There's some fireworks, my friends. Happy 4th, and maybe we all build good things. Until then, happy sailing.